Welcome everybody to the second part of the live stream in which we talk about China, in which Peter Kertesz will tell us all about China. In the first part we couldn't reach, or we could reach Peter. The only problem was he couldn't hear us. Actually, we couldn't fix the problem, but I wanted to show you anyway what's going on over there. So I asked Peter to just walk around the market, tell about what happened, how it all started with the coronavirus, what happened in China. I asked him some questions via WhatsApp, so that's why he sometimes is answering me. So I think I will just start the video. He's on the indoor market now. That's the market where the big flowers are, or the flowers that are mostly grown in China are traded. So let's see what he has to tell us.
Some of you, or maybe many of you, know me, and so you know what I've done in the past. In any case, I've been here for 5 years now, importing and exporting flowers. The past 4 months have been rough. At the beginning of January, we heard of this virus. Nothing really changed. At the beginning of January, I want to give you a little bit of an explanation of what went on in China these past 4 months. And we were told of a virus. Nothing changed. We knew that Spring Festival was coming, which is the biggest festival in China of the year. Huge floral holiday, much bigger than Valentine's and Mother's Day. And nobody really thought twice about it. Towards middle of January, we already saw that there was problems, and some cities were already starting to shut down. By the end of January, I left. Many Chinese people left, and most of the country was shut down completely. And when I say shut down, because this is an authoritarian government, let me turn the camera around. You don't need to see my face. I'm going to show you what the market looks like while I talk. The market is split up by flower. So we passed over there the Gerber section, the Zyantha section, and we'll just keep on walking slowly. So because it's an authoritarian government, we were completely shut down. By the 29th of January, this village where the flower market is in the province of Yunnan, and is the biggest single flower growing region in China. The entire village was shut down. Some wholesalers and shippers tried to remain open. Their intention was to cheat the system and to try to remain open, because many wholesalers also around the country wanted to remain open. And they couldn't. By the 30th and 31st of January, the police were here, the communities were shut down, you couldn't leave your home. If you weren't in your community where your home was, you couldn't enter. You had to stay put wherever you are. Sort of what they did in India just last week, where they just shut down the country, and if you weren't home, too bad. That lockdown lasted 6 weeks. And after about 4 weeks, we already were told that the plateau had been reached. So let's say by the end of February, beginning of March, the number of infections, new infections, started to decrease. The number of deaths started to decrease, and that's when they could project a timetable of opening the country up again. It didn't open though. it didn't start to open until the middle of March. And then at the middle of March, things started to open again. So we're talking about from the third week of January to the middle of March. So 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. In 7 weeks, we were not back in business, but this market opened up 2 weeks ago. Wasn't very active, but it was open. It wasn't so many people, but it was open. As you can tell, some people have masks on. Most people don't anymore. I would say an 85% normal lifestyle is now back in China. So with strict adherence to the rule of law as prescribed by the Chinese government, we didn't have much choice. We were left no choice. But after 7 weeks, everything is like this, is as you see it. Trade is back. The farms are in business. And the market is active. So what I'd like to say is how many weeks, or I can't project in America or in Europe how many weeks are left for you guys to bear. But the stricter you are, the quicker it's going to come back to normal. John, is that okay? You mean my business? Okay, so yeah, what I did, I used to import flowers into China. It's not much of a business anymore. China grows pretty much everything. So together with the import business, I also exported flowers from China to the Middle East, to Europe, to North America. And that's what I continue to do now. I pretty much stopped importing, and Elex was the last crop. And I started exporting in January. I exported for a couple of weeks until the end of January, like I mentioned. Then, when business again in China started to happen a few weeks ago, I started exporting again until Europe closed down. And so now I stopped again. And I know that some of my customers are open and they want to buy, but now everyone and their brother and their uncle is exporting from here masks and rubber gloves and other protective wear, and there's no space on the airplanes, and if there is, it's all very, very, very expensive. Where I focus is 3 primary areas. That is Canada, and as soon as the duties in America go away, then it'll be also USA. Europe, actually 4 areas. Europe, all over Europe, mostly flown into Amsterdam, but there are some customers that want us to forget Amsterdam and fly directly to the city. And in normal times, I could fly to any city in Europe directly from here. The third area is the Middle East. It's a cheap market, but there are some very, very good wholesalers there. So it's a small market for me, but a good, consistent one. And then Australia is my 4th market. We do, for most places, twice a week shipments. And the primary flowers that we focus on, or let me say the flowers we stay away from, are basic flowers like roses, carnations, lilies. But to some countries, like for example in the Middle East, they want all of those flowers. But into Europe, it's principally summer flowers. So you have asters. These are all the colors of, there are 8 colors, I think, of status. Lisianthus, spray Lisianthus is a great product from here, not very common overseas. Limonium, no Gypsophila, no Gerberas. Let me think. Water lilies. We are a great resource for water lilies, and not lotus blossoms, but water lilies. So they all open. Waxflower, Asclepia, lots of different flowers. A complete line of eucalyptus, every type of eucalyptus that you could think of, in either bunches by weight or by stem. And we serve wholesalers, pretty much only wholesalers, with the exception of some companies that supply supermarkets. So we also do consumer bunches. And I welcome any inquiry. John is asking me to tell you about the size of the Chinese market. I'm sorry. I'm going to look that up. I don't know. With a completely non-scientific number, I'd have to think that after the combined European market and the combined American market, this is the 3rd largest market. And I wouldn't be surprised if this would be the largest market in the world. It's incredibly large, and floral consumption is only beginning from a lifestyle point of view. They use here flowers for events primarily, funerals, and mostly events, but it's a tremendously large market. There are already some foreigners here growing, and they have been for a long time. For example, all of you may have heard of Bundaberg roses. They grow in Holland, they grow in Kenya, they also grow here. Their primary crop used to be roses, but now they grow also tulips. I think they also grow a couple of novelty things, but Bundaberg primarily grows roses here. I've been here for 5 years. They've been here for over 10 years. The other big operation here, maybe the biggest foreign operation, is a company called Haas Farms. They are owned, or at least directed, by a Dutch group, but they're based in Vietnam. They started in Vietnam with chrysanthemums, carnations, roses, and they opened this farm here several years ago, and focus also on also on Alstroemeria, carnations, no roses. Now they're extremely large also in bulbs, not lilies, but tulips and some other novelty bulb flowers. And they're the leading farm in China and growing extremely large. I know that there are some Ecuadorians looking around here to invest. Right now, I would say that the smart money is on this market. We're at Kunming is at 1,900 meters. I think I mentioned that in the other video. And the farms are anywhere between 1,900 and 2,700 meters. Lots of water, lots of land, lots of labor. And if you're interested in growing here, then let me know. We could talk about it.
So this was the video we recorded a couple of hours ago with Peter. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions or like the video, please put it in the comments. On Monday we start again with some new live streams. On Monday we will have Matti Ariel from Decofresh. We're going to talk about what's going on in Kenya. On Tuesday we've got Michael Black talking about what's going on in the United States. So a lot of coming up. Hope to see you on Monday again. Thank you for watching and stay safe.